Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Jarvis Escott with What's Happening in Birmingham today. I got the honor and pleasure with Erica and Iheme. Got that name right. She's with the Alabama Coalition for Community Benefits. Good afternoon, Erica.
Hello, Brother Jarvis. How are you doing today?
Great. Thank you for coming on the podcast. I want to bring you on today because a lot of you all have probably read the news. You know, we have a company here in town called Amazon, and you all actually this unionization vote coming up real soon.
That's right, Jarvis. So RWDSU is the union that's working to organize the workers at Amazon. This is actually round two. They had their first election last year, and the employer was found guilty of some poor behavior. And so the workers were given a second opportunity to form a union in their workplace. So this is a very historical moment, not only for the Amazon workers, but also for our community. Because we're about to see, close to 6,000 workers now have a voice in their workplace.
Oh, wow. So, catch us up to speed, because I remember seeing that in the news and about the ballots. What was going on with the actual voting with that? Was there another issue with that as well?
I mean, I think, so let me just do a quick education. So unionization efforts are monitored by the National Labor Relations Board. Their job is to enforce this law called the National Labor Relations Act, which pretty much governs people's ability to form a union. And in that National Labor Relations Act, it talks about employer coercion and interference when it comes to workers trying to form a union. And so there was a lot of different allegations of employer interference. But I think, what it came down to is ballot boxes being put on the property and being surveillanced by the employer. Like if you had to do a very secret vote and the people who you were voting against were watching you, would you feel comfortable voting? So little things like that are the types of things that, Amazon was accused of doing, but also found guilty of doing, which is why there's a rerun. And I think, just coming from the community position, knowing people who work within the plant, hearing about the captive audience meetings where, management was standing in front of the room of many workers, maybe hundreds of workers, telling them why they shouldn't vote for a union, how a union is bad, and, spreading untruths. And it really just confused the people who were a part of the process. And, we Southern, when we see some mess, we're going to go in the other direction. It's a turnoff, right? So that's what happened in that plant. A lot of people was I don't know what a union is. I don't understand what this means. This seems messy. I don't want to deal with it. And I think, after the election and those workers lost, a lot of workers came back around and was like, man, this crazy. We should have voted yes the first time. And so what we're trying to do is we're just trying to make sure that the truth gets out about what it means to be organized as a workplace and to have a union. But we also want to make sure people understand the importance of, having a free choice to make their decisions about their conditions in their workplace.
So let's talk about that. I mean, for people, they always hear about unions. They always think about what they see on TV. In 2022, what is a union?
Yeah, a union. Yeah, I mean, I could start with the myths or the untruths about what it means to be a union. A lot of people say, a union just want to take your money. Oh, if a union come in here, that you can't have a good relationship with your employer because everything is going to be a fight, or unions, they're the mafia. You can go to jail for dealing with unions and Jimmy Hoffa. That's what a union is not. Basically, a union is when workers come together and decide to have a collective voice in their workplace, right? So what that means, so as it stands, employers have all the control over how much workers make, how many, what benefits that workers receive, scheduling. Pretty much the entire setup is determined by the employer. But when you're organized in a union, you're actually a part of that decision-making process. And the thing that makes you a part of that decision-making process is the collective bargaining agreement, which is basically the worker saying, okay, these are the hours, that we want to work. Let's honor seniority. Let's honor due process, because we're in Alabama. Alabama is not only a state that is called right to work, which basically means that unionization and membership is voluntary. But also we are at will state, meaning that if the employer don't like your hair on a certain day, I rock an Afro puff. If I came into work and this Afro puff disturbed somebody, they could just get rid of me with no cause or no due process. And so when you're in an at-will workplace, like, your job is always in jeopardy. And I think that's what makes this situation so extreme, because workers are terrified of speaking up in support of the union because they don't want to lose their job. Because technically, without a union, you could lose your job for any given reason. And so that's why it's so important to have a union, because you have those protections and you have that job security and you have seniority recognition and you have, systems that are in place to make sure that everyone is getting an equitable and fair process in their working experience. And I think, one of the things to really think about is, like, Amazon is mostly Black. The employees are mostly Black, and it's mostly Black women. And everybody who knows anything about American culture in the workplace, Black women have it the hardest in the workplace. So, like, we are now facing a situation where Black women can control or decide the future of Amazon's workforce, because as they open up new plants and new industries, if they have a unionized plant here in Alabama, of all places, why not do it everywhere else? So they're setting the tone.
Let me ask you this, like, two things I've heard, I guess, kind of follow this story and other stories across the country is, here in Alabama, I guess we're probably one of the lowest wage paying places in the country.
Right.
When Amazon first came here, a lot of people said $15 an hour. And what do you say, people who say, well, they're getting paid $15 an hour, is that not enough for them?
Yeah, and I think that's something that we got to be real straight about.
Okay.
The truth is, Amazon, when you look at the pay, which is $15 an hour, when you look at the benefits, which start probably on day one, they have short-term disability, they have long-term disability. Like, honestly speaking, that's the best thing smoking right now here in town, because a lot of people are making closer to minimum wage, less than $10 an hour. So when it comes to pay and benefits, that's not the issue with Amazon. The issue with Amazon is the fact that people are being treated like machines. They're on this system called TOT, time on task, basically meaning that if you leave your workstation and not producing or not scanning for 5 minutes, that's docked against you. Like, you're constantly being monitored on your time. Like, what if you're somebody who has some type of condition like diabetes, where you have to go to the bathroom several times a day? And then the warehouses are huge. I don't know if you've ever seen the Bessemer facility. It's humongous. So even to get to the bathroom could be a 5-minute walk. And if you have to go several times a day, you're being docked time off task. And that accumulates. And then you'll end up getting reprimanded because of it. People get hurt on the job. When they get hurt, like, they just kind of move you aside and just keep production going. Like, there's a question of humanity in this campaign. Like, at what cost? Like, you getting $15 an hour, that's great. You getting benefits, that's great. But what cost? What is it doing to that human body? Because at the end of the day, that person has to go home to their family, and their family has to nurse them. That person working them 4 10-hour shifts back to back on those blocks, like, where their kids at when they're, when COVID say, hey, schools are closed. Like, I have little kids, and I've been getting called quite frequently this year saying, hey, come and get your kid. They got a runny nose. Like, hey, your kid's classroom been exposed to COVID. We got to shut it down. Like, those people that stuck on those jobs, like, they can't go to their person. They don't have a person to go to and say, hey, I got a family emergency. I got to leave. Like, it's such a stressful experience when you cannot have that humanity in your workplace. And what these workers are asking for is that humanity touch.
Okay, so talk to me about, this balloting process. So the ballots, they've been mailed out. When is the deadline for the ballots being resubmitted back
Yes.
in voting?
Yeah, thank you for asking about that. So the ballots first started getting mailed out on the 4th of February, which was last Friday. People are going to start seeing these ballots in the mail. It's going to be in a brown envelope. It's going to look super official. It's going to have like government, addresses on it. It's not junk mail. Open it up. When you open it up, it's going to be a ballot in 2 envelopes, a blue envelope and a yellow envelope. What you're going to do is you're going to vote yes on that ballot. Then you're going to put that ballot inside of a blue envelope. You're going to seal that blue envelope and then insert it inside of a yellow envelope. You're going to seal the yellow envelope, and then you're going to sign the back of the envelope to make sure that your letters of your name is clear and that it's not been tampered with. This is a secret ballot. No one will ever know what your vote is. So you signing the back of that envelope ensures the security of your vote. Then you're going to mail that yellow envelope. Postage is already paid for. Put it in your mailbox, a blue UPS mailbox. As soon as you get that ballot, it is not junk mail. Those ballots are due back March 25th. So you got about 6 or 7 weeks to get those ballots back in. So if you know anybody who works at Amazon, ask them have they seen that brown envelope and make sure they go and vote yes for their union so that they could start negotiating the terms of their employment and not be told what to do without no say anymore.
Okay. So what would you tell somebody that's possibly, Amazon worker that may be watching this video that's on the fence? What would you tell them?
I would tell people that it's time for a change, I'm born and raised on the north side of Birmingham. And I just remember growing up, watching people go to work and struggle and work 2 and 3 jobs at a time. And to your previous point of Alabama being the lowest paid state, Alabama does not have a job shortage like most of the people in America. As a matter of fact, Alabama have some of the lowest unemployment rates. But Alabama also have some of the highest poverty rates. We're in the top 7 of poverty. I don't know what the recent numbers are, but we're in the top 7 of highest poverty. So what that means is that in Alabama, we have an underemployment issue. And what we are dealing with is that people are being not valued as workers in their workplace. And if you want to be valued in your workplace, you have to speak up. And by voting and forming a union, that's your way of speaking up and becoming a part of the active process. It should never be a situation where you feel like you're being told what to do on your job through your union. You are the union. And what we have to remember in Alabama, we are organizers. We are civil rights leaders. We are union leaders. Like we ain't the new kids on the block. And I think we forgot that. A lot of our grandparents were a part of the union. If they weren't sharecroppers or domestic workers, they probably worked in the steel mills. They probably worked in the coal mines. They probably worked in the postal service. Those are unionized jobs. Think about every person from the previous generation that had a good job. They probably were union members. The teachers are unionized. Like all the people with pensions, all the people with good benefits and good retirements, they have unions. And if you look around the people around you with these current jobs, ask them if they got pensions. Ask them if they got retirements. They'll probably say no. And if they say yes, they're probably a part of a union. We have to remember what it means to be unionized and to have a voice in the workplace because those workers demanded those pensions. They fought for those pensions. Like nothing comes for free. These corporations are not going to wake up and be like, I think we're going to treat our workers great today and give them anything they want. That don't happen. We have to work for it. And the way you work for it is by having a collective voice.
So where can they go to get more information?
So if you work at Amazon and you want to get more information about this campaign, go to the union. RWDSU has set up a front-facing website called BamazonUnion.org. It's spelled BamazonUnion.org. If you don't work at Amazon, but you're interested in this effort, you want to help in this effort, like this is time for Alabama to stand up. Everybody is looking at us. Let's not drop the ball. Let's do the right thing and show people what people power and community building looks like. So if you want to be down with that community power, I want you to go to jobswithrespect.com, JOBSWITHRESPECT.com. Let's get with it. I mean, like, we are turning up in these streets. Like, we got to fight for ours. Like, we are in a pandemic. People are reevaluating what it means to work. People are reevaluating their lives right now. Like, let's help these people get their stuff together.
Okay, well, Erica, thank you for coming on today to give us a little insight what's going on. We've been reading and kind of, dispel little myths and, what's, because so much out there about this. So I'm glad you actually came on to give a little more information. Feel free to come back on, follow up.
Oh, Jarvis. Thank you for having me, and thank you for being curious about this conversation. And I think we need to start having some deeper dialogue around worker conditions in Alabama, worker justice, worker power. All these green jobs are moving to Alabama. We've increased as the manufacturing Rust Belt of the South in the last 30 years. Like, it's so much we got to talk about. There is tea to spill in these streets.
Okay. Well, thank you all for watching today. Please check out what'shappeningbirmingham.com for more interviews. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and on Apple Podcasts. Thank y'all again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.